Hello everyone and good evening. A little bit late, like half an hour, but I just had to finish bottling my chili sauces. I have been doing a lot of things today, but I just had to, just had to finish it up. Hello there pigs, welcome, welcome. And I have 27 and a half bottles of habanero mango hot sauce. So the reason it took so long is that I had to boil it first and also have to heat up the bottles so they wouldn't crack when I filled the liquid. So I can go fix it, but the thing is that it needs to cool because it's freaking hot right now. But I can fix that towards the end of the stream. So don't you worry about Bossy, but it's a little bit too hot to handle the bottles right now. I mean, I had them at boiling point. And I actually burned my hands a little bit doing all this, so don't tell Tenho. She will be most annoyed with me if she knows that I actually managed to burn my hands a little bit. Even the slightest things will annoy her slightly if I manage to burn. But I'm fine. I mean, I don't have anything to show for it, but it's just a little bit annoying. So, let's begin. I wonder if Ed will make it today, considering he said he wanted to check it out, but hey. Ed might... I'm not sure what time it is right now for Ed, but hey. Adrian did it? That's what it looks like. Dude, no way! That woman couldn't do anything like that. In court today, there will be a mountain of evidence that will implicate you. A mountain of evidence? I'm certain there is someone out there trying very hard to pin this whole thing on you. Please, Mr. Lawyer, dude, like I said yesterday, I'm refreshing like a spring breeze, alright? I can't let any sort of scandal ruin that. I understand. Well, it's almost time. Mia, we must get a complete acquittal today. I know, but I can't focus on Maya's situation right now. Or Pearl's either. No matter what, I have to focus on winning this case by the end of the day. Indeed. Well, let's get going. It's him! This is Wright. Good morning. This is it, Mr. Attorney. The day of the trial. Maya, she's unharmed, right? Well, when I checked on her earlier this morning, she seemed a bit... how should we say? Tired. Don't worry, people don't die that easily. Besides, what you should really be concentrating on is to winning today's trial. For my sake, as well as yours, you must win today's trial. Which is why I sent you a little present this morning. Present? What in the world would you want to give me? You'll figure it out once this trial starts. And even if you don't like my gift, I expect you to graciously accept it and win today's contest, if you please. Wait! The kidnapper sent me a present? Mr. Lawyer, dude, who was that? No one. It's nothing to do with you, so forget you heard anything. Dude, did your nose just get longer? And I have the last bit of cheesecake, just the batter. The cheese part. No! Court is now in session for the trial of Matt Engarde. Are the prosecution and defense ready? The defense is ready, Your Honor. I have plenty of water for this. I have 2 bottles of water to go through before, so I can actually go on for quite some time, I hope. I say, Mr. Wright, what happened to Miss von Karma? I don't know, Your Honor. Why are you getting mad at me? Your Honor! Please be quiet, bailiff. Court is in session. If you must tell me something, please keep it brief. Now then, what is it? Prosecutor von Karma has... This morning, Miss von Karma was shot by an unknown gunman. What? Shot? Somehow, I think this is the present that Mon was talking about. His present? Miss von Karma is one of the top prosecutors in the country at the moment. If she were to disappear, it would be to your advantage. This is totally insane! Miss von Karma, is she alright? I don't have that answer. She's alive and in stable condition. That's good. You're... I thought he'd show up. Your Honor, due to the circumstances, Miss Francisca von Karma cannot appear in court today. I, Miles Edgeworth, will be taking her place. The prosecution is ready, naturally. Miss von Karma was shot in her right shoulder and is currently undergoing surgery. Luckily, I have looked at this case over and am familiar with the details. The prosecution seeks to prove the guilt of Matt Engarde. The court acknowledges the prosecution. Right. I finally found the answer I was struggling for on my long journey this past year. By the time this case comes to an end, you too will know the answer. Now then, the prosecution would like to call its first witness. Please bring Detective Gumshoe to the witness stand. Oh, it's so good! Witness, your name and occupation. My name is Dick Gumshoe, sir. I'm a detective down at the precinct. For now. For now? After this trial's over, I'm supposed to turn my badge, sir. Detective Gumshoe. The prosecution has no need for a depressed witness. Lift up your head and face forward like a proud officer, Detective Dick Gumshoe. Yes, sir. Now, let's have your testimony. If we want to explore the various facets of this case, we must start with that. Get ready, Phoenix. This is going to be a very rough fight. Yeah. It would have to be with my Edgeworth as my opponent. The answer he was struggling for. Interesting. Somehow this answer you finally found, Edgeworth. This murder happened after the Hero of Heroes award ceremony, sir. The victim, Juan Corrida, was found dead in his hotel room. After looking into the cause of death, we believe he was definitely murdered, sir. At first, we thought there was something suspicious about the empty guitar case. However, we later found that the guitar case had nothing to do with the murder. After the award ceremony ended, the victim was alone in his room? Yes, sir. Both the victim and the defendant went alone into their room, sir. I see. Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Would you please give us a brief timeline of what happened after the ceremony? Okay, pal. The ceremony started at 6 p.m. It ended around 8 p.m. and then there was a short break. A special post-ceremony show was supposed to start in the lobby 30 minutes later. And that's when the victim's body was found, correct? Which is to say, the murder occurred during that 30-minute break period. Please continue with your testimony, detective. The person who discovered the victim's body was Adrian Andrews, correct? Yeah. Who is this Adrian Andrews you are talking about? She's the defendant's Matt Engarde's manager. She's a really pretty lady, sir. Oh, so she's a pretty lady. I wonder if she will grace us with her presence. Okay. If you're wondering what that sound is, that's the laundry. Although it should be making that sound, I think. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that. Or keep an ear out. Okay, actually, I'm gonna just check this, what is going on here. It's fine, it's fine. Still though. When the post-ceremony show was about to start, she went to get Mr. Engarde. After visiting his room, she went to the victim's room to get him for the show, sir. I see. And that's when she found the victim's body. The cause of death, wasn't it that because Mr. Corita was stabbed in the chest? Only a careless amateur would believe something as brainless as that, pal. Considering he gave us that explanation first, like, I found that ironic. He was definitely murdered by a stab to the chest. That's what Gumshoe said during investigation. Take a good hard look at the crime photo. Now, a real pro's attention would be drawn here to this bandana. Banana? His bandana, sir. That's the thing wrapped tightly around his neck, sir. Ah, yes, I see. His banana-scented bandana. Then, what about the knife? It seems to have been stuck in the victim's chest on purpose after his death. We have a crafty murderer on our hands here. And why did you think that? Because it was empty, pal. The Jamming Ninja doesn't go anywhere without his bright red guitar, and we couldn't find it anywhere at the scene of the crime. Oh, then how about this theory? A fan really wanted the guitar and did the crime to get it. How's that? We thought of that too, but... The only fingerprints on the guitar case were the victims. Only the victims, huh? I see. So much for my theory, then. Oh? What convinced you that it had nothing to do with the case? The guitar wasn't at the Gatewater Hotel that night. Well then, where was it? The bright red guitar was eventually found at the TV studio. The victim, John Corita, had apparently only taken the case with himself. So you mean he forgot to put the guitar inside the case? Yes, sir. Even when he was on stage for the ceremony, he didn't have his guitar. So that guitar case was empty even before he got to the hotel. Yeah, that's right. So it really had nothing to do with the case after all. I believe that is enough. First, the victim was choked to death with his bandana. Then, after the victim was dead, the killers deliberately stabbed him with a knife. Which brings me to my next point. Why, then, did the police arrest Matt Engarde? Because there was a reason enough to suspect him. Here it comes. Looks like Edgeworth's back in full swing. Very well. Detective Gumshoe, please testify about this matter. Yes, Matt Engarde and John Corita were huge rivals with each other. They each thought the other guy was in his way. That's motive enough in my book. As for evidence, there's the Jamming Ninja's button. It was ripped off the ninja costume and found in Mr. Engarde's hakama. The defendant's fingerprints were also all over the knife. The defendant brought the knife for the crime. which makes this a premeditated murder. So the defendant's fingerprints were found on the knife used in the stabbing. It was sort of sticky on the handles, so the fingerprints came up clearly, sure, sir. And there's this button. That was found in the defendant's clothes, was it? This button is also covered in blood. Yes, and we know that the blood is the victim's blood, sir. What? All of this points very clearly toward the defendant, doesn't it? Yes, it most certainly does, Your Honor. Ready to give in yet, right? I'll find a hole in your argument somehow. You can press as hard as you like. Just hurry up with your usual pointless questions. Yeah, that's... I mean, I suppose that's... I would say silverware, but it's all golden. Oh. But in terms of popularity, Mr. Engarde won, didn't he not? Yeah, but you know what's ironic, pal? Juan Corrida was always one step behind Engarde in everything. This year, it seemed like he had finally caught up, ready for the big final showdown. But Mr. Corrida lost the Grand Prix in the end. Well, that's too bad. He must be pretty downhearted after losing. Wait just 1 second here. Mr. Engarde was beating Mr. Corrida in popularity polls. Well, yeah, I guess, but... Which means that in the defendant's eyes, the victim was not a rival at all. Which means that he had no motive to kill at all. Yes, I quite agree. Well, detective? It's not, well... I guess if you put it that way, then yeah, the defendant would have had no motive. Detective, I'm beginning to see why you were fired. No, not you too, Mr. Edgeworth, sir. That's... I look forward to your pension negotiations. No! Now, detective, let's continue with the testimony. No, not my poor pension too. Detective, if you value your money, then I suggest you proceed. Yes, sir. We can talk about my pension later, sir. What about what I was saying? Hello? Anyone? Do you have any proof that the button belonged to the victim? Huh? What do you mean, pal? Oh, let me put it this way. I'm asking if you have any evidence to back up your claim that this button was ripped off the Jamba Ninja's costume. Huh? But can't you tell that just by looking at it? And the victim's blood is on it. Anyone could have smeared that blood on there afterward. Mr. Edgeworth, help me, sir. All right, I knew I had this. It had to be this piece of evidence. Now, to reel this one in. Thread. Huh? The button was attached to the costume by thread, obviously. And that thread snapped when the button was torn off. If you mash up the ends on the threads with, on the costume with the thread on the button, it's a perfect match. Yeah, that's it. They're a perfect match, pal. That's Edgeworth for you. Never misses a beat. When was this button found? Pretty soon after the body was found. We rounded up everyone who knew Mr. Corrida. And then we did a search on them all. That's when we found the button. So it was almost immediately after the murder. The police didn't have the free time to lollygam and play tricks, unlike some people. Hey, what's he trying to say about me here? Oh. How are the fingerprints arranged on a knife? Huh? What do you mean, pal? By examining the fingerprints, you can determine how the defendant held the knife. For example, did he hold it normally or overhand? Oh, is that what she meant? Well, we didn't actually think of that. I can't believe the bumbling of this department. Hopeless. Well, you're paying attention to the testimony, right? The defendant's fingerprints were all over the knife. There's no way to determine how the knife was held at the moment of murder. So the defendant. So is the defendant the owner of this knife then? There's no way this was a premeditated murder, even if he brought a knife. Sorry, pal, this isn't some pocket knife. It doesn't fold, so it's not great for walking around with either. Well, this is not good. Okay, let's see. Strangled with a scarf and stabbed. If the prosecution can prove it was a premeditated murder, they were done for. Phoenix, yes? There's something very interesting about what the detective said just now. Think carefully before it's too late. A button covered in the victim's blood and a knife with Engarde's fingerprints. Be grateful. If the judge were more rash, he would have already pounded his gavel in closing. We're still in a world of trouble. Well, before any battle, you must find your enemy's weakness. Hello there, Heisenberg. It has been a while. I hope you are well. So let's find the weaknesses in this testimony, no matter how small it may be, okay, Phoenix? Well, the whole thing is like, why was the victim strangled then? Okay, I guess not then. Because, like... Ah, fair enough. That's fair, Heisenberg. Nah, Pix, that's fine. Oh, well, if you want to, you can do it, but I don't want to use it. The strange thing is this whole button. Why is, like, if the victim was already dead, why tear off the button afterwards? I mean, the whole thing is like these two pieces of evidence contradict the cause of death. But the thing is, how do I go about presenting this? Because there's no reason for him to tear this one off, like after the victim is dead. Yeah, that is true. Wait a second. What? So the basis of your argument that this was a premeditated murder is simply that my client brought a knife beforehand. That's right, pal. The defendant did not buy this knife. Huh? Take a good look at the handle of this knife and you'll see what I'm talking about. Huh? It has a Gatewater seal set in the handle. Gatewater? I think I've heard that name before. That's the name of the hotel. Gatewater Hotel. Yes, you do, pigs. Uh-oh. The murder knife was actually the property of the hotel, which means that this murder was not premeditated. Yes, that is very true. This is a very big... What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sorry, but the defense is simply too careless. What? I think whether the crime was premeditated or not has already been determined. How so? I admit this knife is the hotel property. There's no one currently on the police force that is dumb enough not to realize this. But I didn't know. Oh, that's just so. Oh, poor Gumshoe. The question is, where did this knife come from? Well, why, that's obvious. It came from the victim, Mr. Corrida's room. Sorry, Your Honor, but that is incorrect. The victim ate a last meal before he was murdered. With that being the case, I would like to draw the court's attention to what's on top of the table. There's a knife and fork on the table. Then, where in the world did this knife come from? If it pleases the court, I would like for us to recall the room of the defendant, Mr. Matt Engarde. Especially what was on the top of his table. There is something missing. Perhaps it is a single knife? We investigated the leftover dishes for fingerprints, and while we were investigating, we came to the conclusion that Mr. Matt Engarde's knife was missing. Mr. Engarde had gone to the victim's room with a knife he had used during dinner. Why would he carry a knife to visit? To kill, of course. And with that, I believe the prosecution has proven this was a premeditated murder. Amazing, Mr. Edgeworth. Absolutely brilliant. A brilliantly clear deduction. It seems like Edgeworth had this plan from the very beginning. This must be one of those traps, and I just walked headlong into it. A murder weapon with the fingerprints and a button from the victim's costume. There's quite a sizable amount of evidence here. I can safely say that with any further deliberation is a waste of your Honor's time. Although, I wouldn't mind if the defense were to present evidence not yet shown to the court. Evidence not yet shown? It means the evidence the court hasn't seen yet. In other words, new evidence. What does the defense have to say about this? Well, Phoenix, the judge is favoring the prosecution right now. If we answer with something wrong here, that cannibal of his will be bringing out the sound of our